Welcome everyone. Today I have a very important Path Exile to Early Access guide. Now this video will look into how to save gold on respect points. Yes, there's ways that when you talk to the NPC and refunding your points, you can potentially save gold. And I'll teach you guys step by step how to do this correctly. And this will be very important should you want to change your build, or if there's a nerf currently with the Summoning Raging Spirit, you want to change something, you can potentially save some gold as you respec your points. And in order to help you guys understand the discount function that is a hidden mechanics, I'll go through this one step by step with you guys on the first part, and there's additional tips. And on the second part, we'll look into how to use your weapon skill tree set 2 to great advantage. You can be testing builds because if you look on top over there, you can see I have 24 weapon set skills for each of the weapons. And I'll briefly run you guys down how you can potentially use this one to great effectiveness, because notice here I have 2 sets of weapons, and because I have 2 sets of weapons, my skills are actually automatically casting depending on the weapon I'm using. There is a hidden mechanic that is over here, and I'm going to go through this one briefly just to show you guys. Notice I'm about to cast Flame War, but Flame War is a magical spell, right? And all my weapons are plus minion skills. So I want Flame War to be casted with this set of skills, with additional spell damage and also additional spell damage. And of course, those are just some example items. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this button over here to unclick the first one. So this spell will be automatically casted without me having to swap the weapons. So this means I'm actually casting this spell automatically using the magical skill set. And then for my minion skills, of course, I want my minion skills to be summoned and also casted on the first one. So notice over here, the second one is different. And this is a very important mechanics that can allow you to do a lot more damage because you are min and max your damage with 2 sets of weapons. Now if you think that weapon swap trick was amazing, there is even more. We can use weapon set skills over here to perk even further. Let's say if I'm about to cast a fire spell and I want fire penetration. So my second weapon set, I'm actually going to activate this and get the second fire penetration all the way over here. And then when I'm casting the other weapon set, I'm actually going to do something differently. So what that means is when I'm using my weapon set for the minions, I want passive points that enhance the minions damage. But when I'm casting spells, I want passive points that suddenly increase my spell damage. And this can make our build wonderfully amazing, especially when you want to play a minion together with spell casting with fire damage. Now the best part about those refunding and also weapon set hidden mechanics is that even if you're not an Infernalist, if you're Titan, if you're Sorceress, if you're Ranger, you can use the same method to benefit with a lot more skill points, a lot more benefits with the weapon set skill points allocated to different weapons. So this is so important for you guys to know. And I'll explain everything to you guys on the second part. So coming over to the first part, if you have watched our previous video, there is an ongoing there's a nerf that happened with Raging Spirit. We now summon less Raging Spirit and they cannot be triggered with uncast effects. So what that means is a lot of players will be refunding, and my other friends included. And as I was looking at this, I found a way to save gold as you respec points. But you will have to bear with me and listen carefully. So what's happening is, let me give you guys an example. Let's say if suddenly I don't want to go this path, right? There is 9 points on this path. I want to take the right hand side path. And notice I have saved up 3 skill points. But if I were to perk the 3 skill points, it's not enough. It's not even enough to get me halfway. And then I'm stuck. I can't unperk those points and I can't go further. So if at this point I want to change my skill tree, what I would have done is I would have unrespec some points over here, add the minion over here, unrespec some points over here, add the minion over here, so that this line completely connects. And then I can respec those points and then have them added back over here. But that will cost a lot of gold. So the logic is I either save up 9 points all the way over here, I perk it in, and then I remove those points, but I will have to wait for another 6 levels because I only have 3 points available, right? So here is the trick that I'll share with you guys. So firstly, coming over to the NPC, this is how you get a discount with your refund. So let's start with unperking some points. I'm going to unperk this, unperk this, unperk this. So now I have 6 points. So let's path this out as an example. And I'm going to go here, 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 here. So we're just going to keep going a little bit. And notice it's not enough, right? I'm going to unperk those points. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put them back, of course, because I need those other points, right? I'm just here to get this going. So now I'm going to pick intelligence. Actually, I should pick matching strength, right? So I'm going to pick matching strength. So now all of a sudden notice that my gold went down. It went from 140,000 to 120,000. And just by doing this, I have used up 20,000 gold. But if I click OK now, I would have lost more gold. I wouldn't get any discount. So here's the magical trick. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna unpack the points that is allocated over here. So notice I'm gonna unpack them, and notice the gold, my gold is going down even further because I'm respecting more points. So if I were to do this, the whole total cost will cost me over 50,000 gold just to change another path. And that is what most people will do, right? But here's the takeaway. So before you click OK, you quickly perking all the points you just respect out. So those points, I want them back, right? So I'm gonna perk all those points back. And not the other side, notice as I'm perking the points back, I'm making my gold back because the game recognized me that I borrowed those points at the start, but I perked them back. And the biggest takeaway is, guys, as long as I don't click apply points, the discounted borrowed points will be added back. And this means I'm literally borrowing the points and I'm putting it back. There's no interest. I'm borrowing the points to get my pathing, then I put it back. And if I apply now, notice the cost is much cheaper. I save about 20,000 gold using this method. So I can borrow any points on the skill tree, path a new pathing. Let's say if I go over there, after the pathing, I will refund the previous pathing and then quickly return the points I borrowed. And when you return the points you borrowed, you'll be getting your gold back. And this is a hidden mechanic that can save you a lot of gold. So if you come over to the notes over here, basically what we're doing is before we reset, we want to recognize how we want to path it and try to reset more at once if we can. And we can borrow skill points. The biggest discount is to borrow skill points and then return them. And once we put in the new skill points and return the borrowed skill points before we click accept, this will give you the highest discount. Now the discount will depend on how many points you have borrowed. Notice here I borrowed about 6 points and each point was costing about 3,000 gold. So in total, I was able to save about 20,000 gold, and that is not bad. So on top of this, there is another trick that you can take advantage of. Let's say currently I am short on 5 strength for item. And for example, I should have to cancel. I didn't want to, that was the example, right? So let me show you guys over here. Let's say if this particular boots, I'm 5 strength short to equip this boots. While I was doing the previous trick I showed you guys about, what you can do is you can actually repath this whole thing. So let me show you guys again. So here we're going to borrow points. Notice as you borrow points, you're actually paying for the gold. But as long as you return them before you click OK, it's okay. So I'm going to repack this. Now better pack over here, right? So I'm going to repack this. I wish they had automatically packs for you. Okay, I repack this. And notice here, this is a big takeaway. So let's make this example a little differently. Let's say if I needed 5 intelligence for a particular skill or item, and I want to change out of 5 strength. So during this time, instead of repacking this whole thing and selecting strength similar to over here, I'm going to select intelligence. And again, notice here, this is strength, this is intelligence. So effectively, as I'm pathing, I also managed to change the nodes on the skills as I'm doing this. Again, we're going to unpack all the points over here. And before we click accept, you do not click accept, yeah? If you click accept, you're in big trouble. So once you unpack those, you come back and return all your points, and it's interest-free. So basically, you are borrowing the points from the game, and you're returning it. And notice that the cost of the gold just went back on. And this is a very important factor for you to be pathing, repathing, and also saving more points, saving more gold as you borrow points from your own skill tree. Now the biggest takeaway again, guys, is to make sure you perk everything, reperk everything before you click accept. Now coming over to the second part, hopefully the first part didn't overwhelm you guys with all the ways of borrowing points. That definitely will help you save some gold once you understand this. So make sure you watch carefully on the first part, which will be useful on the second part. Now, if you're testing build or if you want to try out skill tree set 2, which a lot of players has been asking me, notice here we have on top, I have 24 points for weapon skill set, and those are not used. So in this part, I'll teach you guys how to min and max this and potentially give yourself over 20 or even 24 maximum additional skill points. And this also alternates between your weapons and also damage. Notice that I can manually swap weapons. And weapon set 1 is where my summoning minions are. Weapon set 2 is an example spell casting weapon set. So as the summoner, I am casting spells and I want to get the highest damage out of my spells. So if we come back over to the skill tree, what we can do is, for weapon set 1, I can click over this button and all the allocated points will be regarded to weapon set 1. And because this is going to be a minion skill tree, I'm going to search for minions. And let's say I'm going to look for some cheap and easy weapon damage, like over here. This is not weapon damage. So maybe let's go over here. So we can have some easy weapon critical bonus, weapon critical chances. And as we come over here, we get some weapon minion damage. So I'm going to click, click, click. So notice I have 3 points. So we can click, click, click over here. And this will take the 3 points for the weapon set 1. So if you come over to weapon set 2, and what you can do is notice the points were spent on weapon set 1. And now I can try to spend some points on weapon set 2. So on weapon set 2, I'm not going to click over there. So what I'm going to do is, so once I have allocated 3 points out of the weapon set 1, what I can do is I can click apply for the points. And notice that once I click accept, this actually spent up my skill points. But this is not only all. So if I click weapon set 2 here, I will have 3 skill points that I can spend onto elemental weapons and things that's related to elemental damage. So notice that suddenly I just got 3 extra points. And remember at the start, I had 3 points to start off with, and those 3 points can now be allocated to weapon set 2. And here I'll just click accept to just show you guys. And now notice this is allocated over here. So now if I press X, which allows me to switch between weapons, on the minion tree, I have 3 points over here. On the spellcasting tree, I have 3 points over here. So I'm working towards in fire penetration and also more strength, while over here, I'm working towards minion critical damage bonus. And as I swap between the two, something wonderful happens. All of a sudden, my 3 points that I showed you at the start of the demonstration became pretty much 6 points. And this is not only all. Once you have determined your weapons and also weapon set points, allocate them differently, you're pretty much having a double stat of 24 flexible skills or flexible passive skills that can greatly benefit the weapon you're using. So when I'm summoning for minions, I'll go for all the minion ones. When I'm using spells, and this is when I get all the spell penetration and also fire damage, bonus spell damage. And yes guys, in the example, I actually did scale them. So my points are allocated for minions and also for spells. But this is not linear. So the next thing you need to understand is we're going to come over to the skill tree, or the skill links. So once you come over to the skill links, notice my skills are majority broken down into 2 categories. One category is going to relate to the minions, and one category is going to relate to the actual spells. So for example, Skeleton Arsonist, if I click this arrow over here, if you scroll down a little bit guys, you can see there are 2 allocations. There is a 12, there's a 7. So what that means is if I'm summoning Skeleton Arsonist with the first weapon set using minions, this will give me 12 Skeleton Arsonists. And if I were to use the second one, once you max this, notice that this only gives me 5 Skeleton Arsonists. So ideally, I do not want to have the second one. I want this one to be going with the first one. But this is not all. So the better example I have is going to be Flame War. Flame War is going to be a magical spell. Initially, you'll see both skills clicked over here. And of course, you can click this so you can cast in spells without moving. And this is not bad for some of the skills. You should test this out. So initially, Flame War will be cast with both of the weapons. But if I come over to my spellcasting weapon, they will give extra spell damage. Now, those two are just examples, right? So I'll probably find plus skill ranks, plus fire damage, plus spell damage critical, all the good stuff. So once you have this, I want Flame War to only be casted by this weapon set. So when I press Firewall, this will be casted with weapon set 2 together with the skill passive that is over here activating automatically. But once we go to weapon set 1 with minions, this will come back for additional minion damage. So what you want to take away from the second part is you want to learn to do your weapon set 1, weapon set 2. Once you have allocated weapon set 1 points, you will not see any points, but you can still allocate the same amount of points on weapon set 2, even if you don't see those points. So once this goes to 21, this one can go down to 21 as well because I spent 3 points. After that, you want to go through your spells to see which of the spells you want to be going with minions or which of the spells you want to go in with spells. So the example is my Skeleton Arsonist. Of course, I want to go with minions, right? I want to get as much minions as I can to summon as many as I can. Now, on the other hand, for spells like Firewall or any other elemental spells that uses spell damage, I will be picking those and I will be allowing myself to use weapon set 2. So this in combination will greatly enhance your damage as your min and max and also perfect every spell you cast depending on the weapon effect. Because the weapon effects are no joke, sometimes they give a lot of spirit, sometimes they will give a lot of bonus spell damage. And this is the example using the Infernalist. Now, if you want the example for your own build, you need to understand what are the spells you're casting, what are the different variants, and also how can you min and max on your own skill tree. And for a future build, I'll start to have this allocation to teach you guys even further as we play the summoners. Now I know we had an example with Infernalist, with my minions, and also with my fire damage. Let's talk about the example with your sources. Let's say if you're playing the ice sources, or if you're playing fire sources, and you happen to be casting spells from both elements, you can use weapon set 2, weapon set 1. One set of weapon goes with cold damage plus skill ranks and also benefits. Other set of weapon going with fire damage plus skill rank and also fire damage bonuses. Let's say if you're playing rangers, you can have melee, poison damage, and also range damage with rangers. If you're playing a titan, you can have one-handed, two-handed bonus, and use weapon set skills to maximize this with different weapons that can enhance your abilities using different affixes. So this is amazing for any class to know. Now that was definitely a lot to explain, and hopefully you guys understood this. I recommend watching a few times. If you don't understand a particular part, you can ask me, but the best way is to watch each part carefully and try it yourself. You can just try with one skill point, and even if you lose a skill point, it won't cost you a lot of gold. First part teach you how to save gold as you respec. The second part magically give you a lot more skill points as you use weapon skill sets. And this is amazing, especially when you can combine over here with target casting abilities. I can even make my curses strong. I can have longer curse duration, more curse damage or curse effectiveness on a weapon, and when I cast a curse, all of a sudden we have a stronger curse. So those are something you need to be aware. Now, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Oh boy, it took a long time to plan, to draft, and also to get this ready. And if you like guides like this, as I discover new mechanics, new method, and also hidden tricks with Path of Exile 2, make sure you subscribe for the latest update, the notification, so this way you can be notified of our latest update with all the tricks to make you stronger and to have a better time in Path of Exile 2 Early Access. Because I'll be looking into the latest Path of Exile 2 news on different communities and also on our official forum, official webpage. I'll also be looking into the best build for each of the class as the meta develops with the Chinese and also the English community. So stay tuned for the latest update and also guides for Path of Exile 2. And of course, this is gonna be a big month for us. And I'll try to bring you guys all of the latest content and also guides for Path of Exile 2 to come.